Well said. Thank you for welcoming me into this family of justice seekers as the newest leader of the Deaconess Foundation that exists to support transformed people who transform systems to realize holistic health and community-rooted justice centered in child well-being. The words participatory democracy has a kind of oomph to it. Like, let it roll off your tongue. Participatory democracy. Go ahead. Right? Your whole body kind of wants to do a thing with the words participatory democracy. It sounds so lofty and so dignified. But what does it really mean? Participatory democracy is a model of democracy in which citizens are provided power to make political decisions. Power to make political decisions. It implies that people are in power. Not a person, not a name, but that people are in power. And I love the sound and the visual in my mind of this commitment. Voting is a right among the elements of a participatory democracy that allows citizens to make their voices heard. But the reality is that as many as half of eligible voters in the US still don't participate in the election process, in the most sacred form of our democracy. And we are not blind to efforts to systematically shut out more and more people, especially because of especially people of the global majority, making us ineligible by any means or reasons necessary. I come from a call and respond culture, so if y'all want to join me in some like, she telling the truth, or like, no, seriously, that's right. If you want to clap or stomp, like, that's my culture. So if you want to bring that in, bring that in, okay? And the U.S. lags far behind most other like countries when it comes to voter turnout. And we call ourselves developed. According to Global Citizen, among the 5 voting barriers Americans face, the following reason is the one I've witnessed play out within my community as reflected in our work in Jennings' 4th Ward and among young adults. Quote, citizens are less likely to vote if they don't think their ballot matters. Right, Denise? Look at her. She's going to be like tag teaming with me in a second. In a country that has built its economic success violating its moral consciousness, justifying enslavement and systematic suppression of African and poor people for profit and for gain, then through tools of slavery and Jim Crow laws, now through banking and housing practices, mass incarceration and human trafficking, just to name a few. The erosion of America's spiritual and moral foundation has reached the point of what is described in 1 Timothy 4:2. Speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. And said again in Titus chapter 1, verse 15, the latter part, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. Over time, when you go over your moral imperative and you begin to ignore it and you justify enslavement over and over again, your conscience becomes seared and dead. When a country continues to send you direct and subliminal messages that you shouldn't exist, you begin to believe that. This notion of your own invisibility becomes your reality. When a country loses its values of human dignity, its citizenry reflects that. Examine this catch-22 between invisibility and visibility. I'll say it again because it sounds like I said the same thing. Examine this catch-22 between invisibility and visibility. It's a catch. Recognition of self, recognition at all, is predicated on visibility. To see oneself in the world has the power to transform existence into vibrancy. I'm gonna say that again because it's deep, and it wasn't me. To see oneself in the world has the power to transform from mere existence to vibrancy. That's how important it is to see oneself. And here's the reverse. Visibility is powerful, yes, but it's dangerous. Either way you go, it's a catch. If you're not a white, heterosexual, male, cisgender Christian in America or married to one, visibility can cost you your job, your family, your friends, your church, your life, and your very sense of belonging. That part, belonging, say that part. Attribution to Melanie P. Moore in her article, Invisible Woman, a reflection on being seen in America. So now imagine that I'm speaking to the 50 and 60 something members of my church congregation, imploring them to vote, centering around the need to pass, in this case, Medicaid expansion. And for this age group, it was a matter of when and where, and they were on it. But my 20 and 30 somethings told me, quote, I'll do what you say because I trust you, AP Associate Pastor. I trust you, AP, and I want to be obedient, but I don't think my vote matters, and my friends don't vote either for the same reason. In partnership with MCU, we have a goal of increasing voter participation in Jennings by 10% in the midterm elections, and it's needed because in a recent mayor's election where 4,000 votes were cast, yay, 2,500 were not. So we're very clear what we're up against. And we're running out of time, and we just started. We're running out of time, Denise. So while I get the Medicaid expansion is a means of job security and family economic stability and health, and while we are privileged to connect the strategy dots to the 2020 census count being the basis of our region receiving $500 million in the city and $27 million in the county in ARPA funds, I get that. But how do we make this connection stick and motivate our electorate who doesn't feel or see the impact in their day-to-day lives? They don't get what 2020 had to do with my now when I'm struggling to survive. How do we transform existence into vibrancy? I don't have the full answer. Sorry. But that's why we're here today, right? Is to grapple with you on solutions sourced in wisdoms of the collective. I don't know about you, but I get smarter in group. I get smarter in community and team. I make more sense. I'm less embarrassed when I can form solutions with people that wear the Star of David while I wear the cross. That makes me better. So I got 6 things to offer because I don't know the answer, but I do believe I'm asking the right question. Number 1, we need strategies to bolster our vision of participatory democracy. Must begin with winning back the trust of those whose trust has been broken. In 1997, 64% of Americans put a very great or good deal of trust in the political competence of their fellow citizens. Today, only 1/3 of people feel that way. Only 1/3 of people feel like they have a very great or good deal of trust in their fellow citizens. And a 2019 Pew survey found that the majority of Americans say most people can't be trusted. Yes, sit with that. That was my response. 2019, before pandemic, before the insurrection, before that, they said most people can't be trusted. And it's even tougher in the future. Only 13% of the we will not be silent millennial generation said America is the greatest country in the world. Only 13%, compared with 45% of the silent generation. Nobody is singing, I'm proud to be an American anymore. You see, this is an issue because change moves at the speed of trust. And when trust is high, hard things are easy. But when trust is low, easy things are hard. And St. Louis is a bellwether city in the world. Forget the nation. In the world. So the uprising of Ferguson, sparked by the killing of Mike Brown on August 9th, was the beginning of our forced reckoning as we are reaping what we have sown in the breakdown of trusted relationships. We earned that. It didn't just poof happen to us. We earned our city burning and being on fire. We knew that trust between people, their governments, their worship centers, their healthcare providers, their friendships, who were looked to for wisdom, has been broken. Information is no longer trustable. For many, this occurrence happened way before vaccine communication and masking. Having faith in or faith about is absolutely waning. And a crisis of trust is the most serious and sobering of all crises, because why? Change moves at the speed of trust. Number 2, the vote has to be connected to hope for real material change, that casting this vote will make a difference in my life, my why, because my concerns and my well-being matters, and my existence is worth fighting for. Don't come at me with your agenda as to why I should vote. I don't care about your life. I care about my existence. To be here, to live and to thrive. We need way more compelling communication frames that speak to this than the flat stuff we got now that's not resonating. Number 3, engagement has to be intensive on the local level by people who live in the community, coupled with people who know how to relate to people, who know how to just talk honest without big words and flags and things to people. Just talk to people. And it has to be done on and off cycle of election years. We can't just pop up, hey, how you doing? We care about you now. Number 4, foundationally, a vibrant pipeline of civically minded, on fire young people is essential. No disrespect to this group, love you. And we need these chairs filled in with the both and of young energy. 5, politicians who reflect our values have to be supported not only during the election, but once they get seated, they feel really isolated and alone. They too feel forgotten about. And training has to continue, and the we got you has to continue with those who can remain in elected position. It's a lonely place. Number 6, I'll close on this final point. Reclaiming our dignity happens when this nation's seared conscience is healed. That's a root cause, in my opinion, is our seared conscience. 1 Timothy 1:19, I leave with you. Cling to your faith in Christ and keep your conscience clear. Thank you for this opportunity to share my point of view. I look forward to what my colleague Denise Lieberman has to say next.